Hey, this is Megan from Renewing All Things, and today we're going to do the book review from Dr. Caroline Leaf's book, Switch on Your Brain. Dr. Caroline Leaf is an amazing cognitive neuroscientist and just really is revealing amazing truths about the power of our thoughts and the control we have over our body with them. So the 5 main takeaways that I really liked from the book were: 1, the science of thought, and I'll explain how that works; 2, amazing new concepts called neuroplasticity and epigenetics; 3, observation and our choice and free will, our intentional thought and focus; and then finally, how do you actually rewire your mind? So the first concept, the science of thought. So we talk about this a lot, but you probably know that we have a conscious and subconscious mind. So your conscious mind is only what you're intentionally choosing to think about right now. So it's only about 5% of our behaviors. So your subconscious is what's driving you 95% of the time. So your subconscious controls how you see life right now, how you react to situations, and what you think about yourself. So it's programmed based on every thought, experience, and action that you've ever had in your life. And so when you're not choosing to consciously think, which is most of the time, so when your mind wanders, when you react to situations without thinking, when you're driving and you realize you've zoned out, your subconscious is what's operating and driving you. So whatever's in there is who you are. So that means that your reality is the reality of your subconscious. So your perception is reality. So we're all perceiving life completely different based on what's in our unique subconsciouses, which is crazy. So you don't become what you think, but you become what you believe, and all beliefs are stored in the subconscious. So basically, we want what's in our subconscious to be in line with the person we want to be. And a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times we have beliefs, a lot of the times we have mindsets, a lot of the times we have things driving us that are not in our favor. And what we really need to do is reprogram that so all of our automatic reactions and our perception of reality is in line with what we want it to be. So the two new concepts that explain this are: 1, neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. So neuroplasticity is a new scientific discovery proving that we can literally change our physical brains through our thoughts and choices. So what that means is we can physically create new neural pathways and we can destroy old ones. We can wire out toxic beliefs, experiences, habits, and thinking patterns, and wire in truths, good habits, and outstanding thinking patterns. And this is the cool thing. So this is what she teaches a lot. So each thought we think is a physical structure in our brain, okay? So every time we have a thought, it's a physical structure grows. So the more we think about something, the more that structure gets bigger. So we have the power to choose what we think about, and therefore which structures are going in our brains and what pathways we're growing into our brains, which shapes the way we see reality. So it's really important about how we can intentionally use our minds to change our brains, which is neuroplasticity. So number 2, the big idea is how thoughts and genes change your body. So she really stresses that 75 to 98% of all mental, physical, and behavioral illness is caused by our thought life. Which makes sense when you think that every thought we think is actually changing our DNA. So this is how it works. So we have DNA, right? Obviously we're born with it. Then we have countless variations of which genes can switch on or off depending on our thoughts and lifestyle. So obviously toxic thoughts actually switch off DNA codes that lead to healing and turn on genes that you may be predisposed to for a disease or an illness. So positive thoughts switch on the genes that heal and override any quote-unquote bad genes you may have been born with. So basically, you could be born with a gene for cancer, or cancer can run in your family, and your mom had it, your grandma had it, but that does not mean that you have to have it, because based on your thoughts and your lifestyle, you can control whether that gene actually gets switched on or off, which is incredible. So our genetic makeup is actually fluctuating by the minute based upon what we're thinking and choosing. So each thought we think is actually creating a chemical reaction to your body, okay? So every thought you think is creating neurotransmitters, and it's creating hormones. If your thought's negative, then it's creating bad neurotransmitters and hormones. If it's positive, it's creating great neurotransmitters and hormones that are changing your genes. So epigenetics is amazing. So it's basically the new study proving that we can change our genetic expression. We're not stuck with what we're born with. So basically, epi means above genes. So our thoughts and lifestyle control the way our genes express themselves. So like I said, if you had a bad gene or predisposition for something, your choices determine if they get expressed or not. So basically, our genes react to the environment we give them. And the environment is our thoughts and what we choose to put in it, our food and our lifestyle choices. So through our thoughts and lifestyle choices, we can stay healthy, remain healthy, and change our genes to express in the way they most possibly best can, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, observation, choice, and free will. So free will is actually not an illusion. And any choice, our mind can choose to think whatever it wants. And so to stay in health, we have to start noticing our thoughts and replacing them. Because we have to realize that we do have the power to think and choose, which is creating our reality. So we have to be more intentional about what we're thinking and what we're choosing. And so we all know that we can't control of what's going on with our life, but we can control our reaction to whatever circumstance is happening in our life. And this is the interesting part. That reaction that you choose is the signal that controls your genes, changes your brain, and determines your health. Okay, so if you react with stress and worry and freak out and anger, well, that reaction is obviously going to create chaos within your body and illness and express genes and unlock genes that you don't want to be unlocked. So, and you can experience that same situation and to the best of your ability with hope and peace and just letting it go and just letting go of control, and that is the signal that will keep your body in health. So no matter, we could be facing the most stressful things in the world, but it's truly our reaction to what's going on that determines if we stay healthy or not. So this is what I love. So you have a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is right behind your forehead. It's the big piece of your brain, right the front of your brain behind your forehead. So God has given us this part of the brain, which actually no other mammal has. And what it does, it allows us the incredible ability to be able to step outside of ourselves and observe our own thinking. So what that means is we can take an incoming situation and stop and choose how we're going to respond to it through our thoughts and actions. So we really are in control, but most people simply just don't have this part of the brain strengthened. So when the situation comes their way, instead of actually stopping, observing, and thinking about it, they just react emotionally right away. And so their prefrontal cortex is not very strong. But the more we can actually step outside of ourselves and notice our thinking patterns, notice how we're responding things, the stronger that part of the brain gets, and honestly, the better your life gets. So that is pretty amazing. So the power of focus. So one thing she really dispels is multitasking. So multitasking basically makes a mess of your brain, and it damages your brain because it's a myth. So your brain cannot physically focus on more than one thing at a time. So when you are multitasking, what's really happening is it's switching so rapidly from one thing to the other, which actually results in poor activity in the brain, making you actually worse on the things you're trying to do. So he actually created our brains to focus on one thing at a time. And when we do this, the thinking process in the brain can occur fully, and then that's what allows us to learn and grow deeply, and you actually get way more done than if you're multitasking. So just focusing on one thing at a time is what we're meant to do. Alright, now this is what I love. She really drives on the point how important it is to actually stop and think each day and be in control of our thoughts, because a lot of us every day, we're actually not taking the time to stop and think about what we're thinking about. We're just letting our minds run us instead of us running our minds, and that's not what we want. So God actually made our brains to take time each day to put all of our focus and thoughts on Him and our life. So to think deeply about what's working on our life, what's not working, and what maybe needs to change. So it's in these moments of deep thinking and reflection that's one of the most powerful things we can do for our lives. Because when you take time to deeply think and focus on something, that's actually changing your brain and creating new neural pathways to make whatever you're thinking about a reality. So that's why we want to be in control of it instead of our thoughts being in control of us. So this is the problem, though. Most people are not practiced at noticing their own thoughts, and so they just run all day long and they're just reacting to their own thoughts. So it's actually a skill. It takes practice to be able to stop and notice your thoughts and change them. But the more you do it, the better you get at that, and the more your thoughts aren't going to run you, but you're actually going to be in control of them. Okay, so the default mode network in the brain is so fascinating. And what this is every time you pray, daydream, kind of let your mind wander, spend time in self-reflection and deep thinking, your default mode network in your brain turns on. Okay, so when the default mode network comes on, this is when your creativity can come out, and basically it's allowing you to see solutions to your problems, to come up with new ideas, and to notice what needs to be changed in your life and how you can do it. So this default mode network basically just allows you to have amazing insight, which is great, about what God's telling you, about what you need to do. Basically, it's just scientific proof that when you're stressed or angry or worried or sad, basically any situation that comes your way, it's so important to actually stop and breathe and think deeply and self-reflect about what's going on and pray what you need to do and sit in it and listen and wait and then let it go. Because what that does is when you do that, then your default mode network gets turned on, and it allows the areas in your brain to open up that allows you to receive your insight and the direction and the peace you're looking for from God. So if you don't take this time to actually deep think and self-reflect, and you just keep going and worrying, and your just thoughts go crazy, you're actually not even allowing your brain to switch on to the part it needs to hear insights and wisdom and solutions from God. So that's why it's so important to take time each day just to sit in silence and reflect, to turn that part of your brain on to allow you to get insights. Okay, so this is how to rewire your mind. And this is just a really short overview. I go into more details on the blog of exactly what you do each day and everything that she mentions in her book. But basically, so we learned that through neuroplasticity and epigenetics, we do have the power to change our beliefs, wire in and out habits, and whatever mindsets we want. So we also know that our unconscious or our non-conscious is what's running us, right? So basically, we need to get the ideas into our subconscious mind, not just our conscious mind. Because we can think something with our conscious mind all day long, like I'm abundant, I am peaceful, and then it really doesn't produce any fruit. Well, it's because it's not in your subconscious mind. So the science is to get ideas into your subconscious. It actually takes daily repetition for 2 to 3 cycles of 21 days. So it could take up to like 2 months, 2 to 3 months to actually get something deep inside of you to where you actually believe it and to where it's actually a part of you automatically, a part of who you are, and it starts driving your actions and how you see life. So if you're wanting to change a thinking pattern or truly believe a concept, you can't just think it once or even just 5 days in a row to have it stick. You actually have to think and focus and act upon it every day for at least 2 months. So that's kind of what God means when he says, the implanted word will save your soul, which your soul is your mind. So basically how you would do this is you need to meditate on one truth that you really want fruit to produce from in your life for 2 months, so it gets into your non-conscious, and then you actually believe it, and it starts creating that reality for you. So like I said, there's more instructions of exactly how you can do this on the blog, as well as ideas about what you can wire in and what you can wire out. But it's really, really great just to kind of take a look at your life and notice what's an area of your life that you have a toxic thinking pattern towards, or even just toxic habit that's not bringing fruit in your life. And if you want to wire it out and wire a truth in, like if you have a lack mindset, for example, you always think you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough. That's just kind of a mindset, and it's in your subconscious, so that's how you see life. Well, you can wire that out and wire in a mindset of abundance. So you have an abundance of time, abundance of money, and it just changes the way you perceive life when you actually get that belief into your subconscious. So like I said, that's just kind of the basic overview, and see the blog if you want more details on how to do that. Okay, so for every book, I just really like to take away my main takeaways that I got from it and what I've actually applied to my life to make things better. And what I found from this book is the importance of just taking 10 to 16 minutes every day to self-reflect, listen, evaluate your own thinking, and allow that default mode network to switch on, which is what allows you to see solutions and possibilities to all your problems and worries in life. So that's actually where we get the most direction, is when we take time to deeply think. That's when the default mode network turns on and where we can actually see what we're looking for. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to spend as much time intentionally thinking thoughts, listening to podcasts, to anything, sermons, readings, things that fill your non-conscious with who you want to be. So like I said, the more you're just filling your mind with who you want to be, the more it's going to get into your subconscious and create that reality for you, create that fruit for you, and drive you. And so whoever you want to be, listen, read as much as you can intentionally every day to get it in there so you become that. Okay, and another one is to take time each day to notice your toxic thinking patterns and choose one thinking pattern to wire out and one to replace it with. Like I said, if you want to wire out lack and wire in abundance, just kind of taking time to work on that specifically each day to rewire your mind with that. And like I said, there's more steps of how to do that on the blog. And then another one is just to focus deeply on one task at a time before moving on to the next. That means everything. That means doing the dishes. That means talking to people. Just being fully present in whatever you're doing, wherever you are, will absolutely change your life, and it actually is incredibly helpful for your brain. Okay, and then the next two are, we need to practice responding instead of reacting. So basically we need to work on strengthening our prefrontal cortex. So this happens, so next time, whenever you get triggered and stressed and everything, practice actually stopping between the stimulus and choose your reaction instead of just reacting emotionally. So instead of just reacting right away, actually, if you can, just stop for a second, really think about it, and then choose your response. And that's hard, especially when we get triggered by things that really bring us anger or anxiety. But the more you do it, the better, literally, the easier it is. So it's just a practice of doing that. And then the last one is basically just the importance of just shifting our focus throughout the day to what we're grateful for, what we do want to happen in our lives instead of what we don't, and what we like, what we appreciate. So just what this looks like for me is waking up, very first thing, just thinking about what you're grateful for, writing it down, thinking about what you're grateful for. After that, I think about what I want my health to look like, what I want my life to look like, just praying and just hearing what God wants for all of that, thinking deeply, evaluating thoughts, just kind of just first thing in the morning, because that really, really programs kind of your mind for the rest of the day. And then I just like to take little breaks throughout the day, like before lunch and before bed, just to stop and refocus again, because all of our days we just get so distracted and we don't take time to stop and refocus. So like I said, then our thoughts just keep running us. So we actually have to be intentional about taking time to stopping and refocusing on what's true and what's important, and that will keep us in the right mind. Okay, so those are my 5 concepts from Dr. Caroline Leaf's Switch on Your Brain. So just the science of thought and our 2 minds, our conscious and non-conscious, neuroplasticity and epigenetics, basically just showing us that we have the power through our thoughts and choices to rewire our mind and change our genes. And observation, choice, and free will, basically how we can observe our thoughts, how we need to get better at observing our thoughts, and then choosing our reaction instead of just reacting emotionally. And then just taking time every day intentionally to think and focus on what you want, and and allow that default mode network to turn on and help you see things through God. So, and then how to rewire your mind, the steps how to kind of do that. You really have to pick one thing and focus on it for a period of time to get it into your non-conscious to have it start driving you. And those are the 5 keys, and we will talk to you soon.